okay, I did not think I was gonna have to make a video like this, and I actually didn't even want to, but after being involved in this situation and seeing everything firsthand, I feel like I have like an obligation to come forward and speak the truth. And especially after Dom, your weak attempt at an apology and how you victimized yourself and also while doing that disregarded all of Sophie's feelings and everything. I just feel like I had to come forward and say something, especially because Sophie's going through a lot right now, and I don't feel like she should have to explain herself. And it hurts that this all had to happen, but you know, I have to do what I think is right. I caught Dom in the act of cheating 2 separate times in the relationship. Once was early on, and the second time was a little bit further into the relationship after they had already gone public. In an attempt to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt, you know, because he was my friend, I tried to give him advice. I was like, hey man, this isn't how you treat a girl. This isn't how you should be handling this situation. You tell me you love her, so you should act that way. But even while giving him advice, I was still so conflicted because my relationship with Sophie was also growing. You know, I was becoming her friend. And as my friendship with her continued to grow, my guilt grew like even more. I felt like I was carrying Dom's burden with me because I felt almost like an accomplice. So on the night of her birthday in 2021, she kept on telling me how happy she was with Dom, how she was head over heels in love with him, and this just like was eating me alive. The guilt was just getting stronger and stronger, and so on that night of her birthday, I told her the entire truth. I told her everything I had witnessed, all the things Dom had done during their relationship, and understandably, she started crying and ran away from the party. And so of course I went after her in an attempt to comfort her because I had just dropped a huge bomb on her. And so I go and I sit down with her and we're talking about it. I'm trying to cool her down and explain things. During the time when we're sitting there, Dom comes looking for her, as he would. And he sees that she's crying and he's confused. He's wondering, okay, well, what happened? What happened? And Sophie kind of shrugs him off, kind of like an F you, like don't talk to me type thing, right? She goes inside back to the party and I sit Dom down and I try explaining what happened. I go, hey man, like I told her everything. I told her the truth. She knows now. You can still come clean. You can still move past this. You just got to be honest with her, and maybe she'll forgive you. Before I even could finish explaining this to him, he stood up on his feet and he just knocked me the fuck out. He just hit me as hard as he could. I'm dazed. I'm on the concrete. I'm like, what just happened? He runs back inside to go try to get to her and comfort her. I actually took a Snapchat of my face the morning after this all went down, and I'm gonna show that to you right now. In hindsight, I admit it was a terrible idea to drop a bomb like that on someone on their birthday, but it was just a buildup of the guilt and emotions that I was feeling, and I felt like I had to come clean. And you know, I didn't talk to them, either of them, for a little while. I kind of gave them space and figured maybe they were working things out. I didn't really want to talk to Dom because he had just struck me in the face. But then I found out over the course of a couple weeks, he had been telling people that I was crazy. I was a compulsive liar. I made everything up. And that hurt me. I was like, how could you even get away with that? And because of Sophie's infatuation with Dom, she obviously believed him. She took his word for it, as you do when you're with someone. And I didn't blame her for that, and I still don't blame her for that at all. After all of this happened, I actually just felt like there was no more room for me to say anything. Like I felt like my words didn't really hold any weight, and Dom had gotten so good at lying to people that I felt like the truth didn't even compare. So for the course of about a year, I was just the boy who cried wolf. I tried to move past the situation. I tried to let it go in hopes that maybe Dom learned from his mistake and maybe he actually wasn't cheating on Sophie anymore. Maybe he was actually being the boyfriend he was supposed to be from the very beginning. After a little while, you know, I kind of rekindled the friendship with both Dom and Sophie, and we all kind of seemed to just move past it, and everything seemed to be going great. Up until about a month ago. I got a phone call from my friend Will telling me that he had a friend that was at a concert, and Dom was also at this concert making out with another girl. So we asked this girl to get photo evidence, if she can, of Dom with this female at the concert. Oh yeah, not to mention, this is all happening while Sophie's in New York looking at her bunny billboard that he didn't even go with her to look at. When Sophie came back from her trip from New York, I went over to her house and I told her everything. I had concrete evidence and I showed it to her, and I figured there's absolutely no way Dom could manipulate this situation like he did a year ago. I have a snippet audio of a conversation that Sophie had with a girl that Dom cheated on her with, and out of respect for this girl, I'm not gonna say her name, and I also want to put out there that she didn't actually know that Dom and Sophie had a real relationship at the time, because Dom had told her that it was all for views and it was fake.
We all start talking. I have not talked to Dom one-on-one in a year. I don't know anything about his current life at all. I asked him if you were a real relationship or not, so I was just curious on if it was real or if it wasn't. And he tells me straight to my face.
It was definitely real, but just so you know.
And so he said to me, he was like, no, it is all for views. It was all fake. And I didn't think he would lie to me about that. Later in the night, we hooked up, and I had absolutely no idea. And if I ever did, I would have never done that, and I am so sorry.
Like, I'm serious. I'm not mad at you about that at all.
Now, obviously, there's plenty of details that Dom and Sophie worked out on their own that I'm not in a place to talk about. But this is just from my perspective, what I've seen and the facts that I do know. With that said, Dom, I'd like to say that you're better than this, but I think we both know that that's not true.